Hey,
live, Mark.
We are live.
Hi,
No more dancing.
buddy. No more dancing. Be serious. Welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders. I am Jim Azevedo. I lead marketing and corporate communications here at Self-Publishing Insiders. And today I'm thrilled to welcome my buddy and colleague, Mark Leslie, the Fave, back on the show with me.
Hey, Jim. Always great to be here. I am the Director of Business Development with Draft2Digital, and it's always so much fun. I love the Ask Us Anythings because it really gives us a chance to engage with folks and say, hey, what are you thinking about? What do you want to know? And I see people have already asked some amazing questions.
Nice. Yeah. So this is completely unscripted. There's no agenda. We want you guys to just feel free to ask us questions you might have about the publishing process, about marketing. Maybe you have a question about maybe you've seen some authors out there who are doing interesting things on Facebook or on TikTok or other social media channels. So let's talk about it. Let's just have a conversation.
Yeah. And just like this was unscripted, our dance steps at the beginning for those watching the video was completely unchoreographed too.
Just tell them the truth, Mark. We've been working on that for at least a couple of weeks to get those.
I know. I can't believe. They don't know we can't dance. No way. I think they know.
They know now. Maybe we kind of kick it off with a recap of our recent D2D print day. Should we talk about that first?
Yeah, and look, Beth has a comment about that. Did you see that?
What's that?
Beth has a comment about that. I'll pop it up.
Oh, okay, cool.
Beth says, Mark, thanks so much for the series you did on this past Saturday. It was so helpful. What is Beth talking about? Well, we know. Well, let's explain. Thank you. By the way, Beth, thanks you so much. I'm so glad it was helpful. It was a really fun time. And I'm so glad you could check it out and that it was useful. So what we did was a D2D print day, and it was 6 hours. It was on Saturday, April 19th, and it was from noon Eastern until 7 p.m. And we had 6 different sessions. Jim joined me for one of the sessions where we just did an overview of D2D print and how it works. I had Nick Thacker talking about bookcovers.com. I had folks from Vellum and Atticus talking about the really great tools they have for formatting your ebooks and print books. I had some cover designers to talk about cover design. Even an introductory at the very beginning of the day is, hey, what are print books and how does it work for the publishing industry? How does it work for authors? A panel with best-selling authors who are doing really well with print books. And it's like, how do you market a print book? Because it's different than ebooks, right? Mm-hmm. And then an open Q&A. And it was just meant to really help get authors who may not be familiar with print books understand the value. I mean, I understand the value of print books. The other thing is really important, right, is this is a book from author T. Thorne Coyle on Resistance Matters, Essays on Love and Action. It's a fantastic book that was created via print on demand and available. And I've got this beautiful, lovely matte finished copy. Yeah, very beautiful. But when I hold this book up, it's phenomenal because you can see the cover and it's advertising. When I hold up the same book on my phone, because I'm reading it on the Kobo app as well, you can't see what I'm reading. So print books are in and of themselves marketing.
They are. And Mark, again, I know I've told you privately, but publicly, I want to just express my sincere gratitude to you because you did a lot of work. You put a lot on your shoulders. You created a full day of content for everybody out there. And not only did you create all of these things, you brought all these experts from, Atticus and Vellum and different speakers. And then you hosted 95% of the entire day yourself. So I hope that your voice, stayed strong and true during the day.
I had just enough time, 15-minute, biological breaks and filling up my glass of water between sessions, but I had a tremendous support as always, right? Like we show up here or you show up here. There's so many people working behind the scenes. So I had you and Lexi and Alyssa doing a lot of the heavy lifting as well. I just got to be in the spotlight. Team. Yeah. So we have an amazing team, and that's the thing. The thing to understand about Draft2Digital is we have so many people working so hard every single day on all of the great features and all of the great tools that you get to see. We get to go to writers' conferences and take credit for all the hard work that everyone else does. That's my favorite part. but no, because we get to engage and interact with the author community. Right. But there's so this is such an amazing team. And I just want to say a huge shout out and a huge thank you to every single person on the Draft2Digital team who's doing all of this work behind the scenes, interacting directly with our authors, helping our authors out, publisher operations, like working with our partners and making sure your data gets to the right places and your updates happen. I mean, just so incredible. We're so, Jim, you and I are so lucky we get to work with such a great team.
I talk about it all the time to anybody who will listen. My family, like, how's work? I'm like, oh my God, I just did this big project, or I went to this conference, or I did this thing, or did that thing. But my team, they're so reliable. I feel incredibly fortunate to work with the team that we have.
Yeah.
So
100%.
And before I forget, Mark, since we're talking about print day, I want to just put that link up there again, because that link still exists. So if you're wondering, well, when was print day? What is it? Print day, as we explained, if you're arriving late, print day was a full day of sessions devoted to bringing authors, whether you're brand new at this, creating a print-on-demand book, or maybe you've got several books under your belt already and you want to just learn a little bit more about maybe marketing tips, or just you're looking for some affirmations about how you're doing the work that you're doing. If you go to that link, you can see what all the sessions were all about, and then you can hit different replays for all of those 6-7 sessions where they're
and you can skip the boring parts where I just blather on about stuff and get to the good stuff, like usually when someone else is talking.
Never a wasted word out of you, Mark. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that and go back over to the comments. I see that the comments are adding up really quickly.
The community is great. I even love the engagement of people talking to one another in the comments. That is fine, because the other thing too is when you do that, you're just helping feed that algorithm to help maybe YouTube show our videos to more people who could benefit from hanging out with y'all.
Y'all. All right. Shall we start hitting up some questions here?
Well, I guess we should, since it's an Ask Us Anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll bring up this first question here from Lee. I'm looking at it and I'm not sure if I know how to answer this one. So Lee, thanks for joining, Lee, and I appreciate the question. Lee asks, with some companies going the route of government photo ID, will D2D head down the same path?
That's a good question. So what I can tell you, Lee, is it's very important for us as the entity responsible for distributing titles to partners who trust us, and they trust us for a reason, is when you create your account, we don't allow you to publish. Now, there's no photo IDs or any of that required, but there is the ability for us to pay you. And we do authorization to make sure you're a legit actual person, and that's connected through your bank account or whatever. And there's an additional company we work with to validate that these are real people, real accounts, real persons. Because again, it's just and there's so many other things that our publisher operations and customer service team does to preview content, to make sure that people aren't just uploading, low content junk that's not really going to be beneficial to our retail and library partners, right? And then that way, because you put a lot of heart and soul and effort into your books, we want to make sure that our partners take you seriously, right? So provided they publish the categories that you want. There are some retailers that say, well, we don't want this category, but we want that. Like some of them, fiction only, like whatever it is, we want to respect those businesses. And so, we want to make sure that the people who publish to us are legit. And we already have, for the longest time, a way to validate people. So I don't see any reason why we would have to head down that same path.
Yeah. And you never know, because things are changing so quickly. It's ridiculous. So
it's funny when we started Smashwords and Draft2Digital, it was like, hey, let's remove the barriers for ebooks and make it easier, because look what we can do with ebooks. And when we launched Draft2Digital Print just a couple of years ago, we forgot just how big and how powerful that part of the industry is. So we probably couldn't have predicted, and we thought, well, we'll make print because it's another barrier we can remove, but it'll just be a secondary thing. And it's proven to be a very significant thing for many of our authors. Just making it easier to get the print books available. So again, we can't always predict, but we do our best, right?
We wish we could.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a stab at reading Ricardo's message here, so you can all hear my awful Spanish. Okay, but Ricardo, muchas gracias para su comment. Ricardo says, vendí mi primer libro en Draft2Digital. Muchas gracias.
I think I understood part of that.
Con mucho gusto, Ricardo. Ricardo says, I sold my first book on Draft2Digital. Thank you very much. So,
how do you say congratulations?
You, Ricardo, and thank you for being here.
How do you say congratulations in Spanish? Or
felicidades.
Yeah, what he said. Yes. Or say très bon, as we may say in French.
My little girl who's in a Spanish immersion school would just be burying her head right now if she heard me speaking.
Okay, I'll make sure she gets to watch this video replay. So.
Please no. Please no. Gosh. So we covered print a little bit. I'm scrolling down looking for additional comments and questions. Let's talk about Smashwords a little bit and the Smashwords store. So Smashwords is another business unit of Draft2Digital.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, so Smashwords got its start before Draft2Digital, and we've probably talked about this ad nauseum in previous episodes of Self-Publishing Insiders, but just really quickly, if nobody knows, so Smashwords was a pioneer in the world of self-publishing ebooks and ebook distribution going back to 2008, and then Draft2Digital acquired Smashwords in 2022. So going forward, Draft2Digital is going to control all the publishing and distribution tools for all of you out there. Smashwords is going to remain as an online retail store only. So maybe first, Mark, we talk about migration and sort of where we stand with that. And then we talk about what's happening with the Smashwords store. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, of course. So the migration, the process is to get to that point, we need to get all of the authors who were publishing on Smashwords into Draft2Digital to be the publishing entity. And we've invited the majority of authors, not a lot, have taken us up on this gracious offer to help migrate. And there's even tools because, merging different pieces of metadata and stuff is very complex. And I'll be honest, I'm one of the problem children. And I was working with a few folks from the dev side on that process in terms of, okay, I have one of the oldest accounts, Draft2Digital as well as Smashwords, because I've been with both since almost the very beginning. And my books are in so many different weird configurations and forms that it's not as easy. Like if you had no Draft2Digital account, it was so easy to go, here's your account, we've moved your data, you're done. And then there's people who have a little bit of both, but I have a weird mixture. So I'm probably
fault, everybody.
Well, no, but there were probably a lot of authors like me, especially the pioneers, the ones who were there early, that are going to have some data. So I get to be the poster child for, or the guinea pig to go in and see how this works. I'm going to be creating some videos for any authors who are like, okay, I've been around for a long time. How is this going to happen? So I'll be creating videos that say, okay, here's what I see. Here's the tool that's available to me as an author. And then I'm going to share those videos. It'll be on our YouTube channel. So, and then we can get there, because once we finish this process, which again, it's like defragging a gigantic hard drive. It's just taken a long time because there's so many things going on in the back end. Once we get there, then that frees up our resources to say, okay, how do we make the Smashwords store an even better store? How do we make the tools for publishing even better? And then that's the main focus. And again, implementing the amazing things you guys have been asking for.
Yeah. So the Smashwords store, we're thrilled and frankly a little bit surprised in how quickly and how it's been growing year over year over year. It is growing faster and faster, and a lot of that has to do, of course, with the merger of the two companies. There are so many more authors from Draft2Digital who have their books at the Smashwords store as well. But the Smashwords store is kind of bucking an overall industry trend of ebooks sales kind of remaining flat, sort of anemic. But the Smashwords sales have been growing over time. And we think that in addition to just the sheer amount of indie authors who have their books in the Smashwords store, we believe there's kind of something else going on, like the emergence of the indie reader. We believe that there's this trend sort of bubbling up where indie readers out there, the influencers out there, they're not content with being just kind of spoon-fed books from the mainstream. They're looking for the next breakout big thing. For them, it's exciting to uncover the diamond in the rough, to find that needle in the haystack, to find that next author who's going to break through and hit the mainstream. So I believe it's such an exciting time right now, and I'm so happy to be on the front lines of this change, of this indie author movement that just keeps growing and growing and growing. So with the Smashwords store, I think we mentioned it before when we were talking with Chris Austin and Mark Hooker, but at the Smashwords store, we are hoping to do not one new sale this year, but 2 new sales this year, looking at genre-based sales on romance and erotica. And possibly more things coming too, when we kind of get to the stage where we're going to sort of completely redo the user interface for Smashwords. We're going to do some more fun store type stuff where we're going to take the best physical aspects of your favorite brick and mortar store and try to emulate some of those best practices at the Smashwords store.
For sure.
Busy year.
Lots to do. Always lots to do.
Yes. Job security. Whatever. Okay, next question.
Okay.
Alpmuse says, and thank you for this comment and question. I plan to use D2D for my next book. Thank you very much. With Amazon, I'm used to having control. When I was on Smashwords, I had control too. What would be the difference of control with D2D?
A very great question. I'm glad you asked that. Very similar to Smashwords, except the one thing, you won't have to use the meat grinder, which required really going in and massaging your kneading the dough, the Word document in very significant ways in order for it to be accepted. The import of the Word document's a lot more forgiving and a lot more flexible. So you can say, no, look for this, not that, to find chapters and stuff. So if it doesn't read it properly, you can work with it and tell it that, which is great. And one of our videos from this last Saturday kind of explains that in more detail and shows you how that works. But one of the other things is, if you're used to using coupons and stuff like that on Smashwords, the teams, the design and development team and operations teams have created those tools so you can go under your account at Draft2Digital and you can kind of see, like, there's this there's a whole bunch of tools, Smashwords specific tools. So you can say, okay, here are coupon codes and here are all the things you can do, and you can still make coupon codes for your books on Smashwords. So you'll have the same control, if not maybe just a few more controls.
Yeah, a few more things. Yeah, there is now a dedicated Smashwords dashboard. Specifically for those of you who have migrated over from Smashwords into Draft2Digital, so you can find all of those tools that you're used to using. Yeah. As well as new Draft2Digital tools too.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Always building new tools.
Appreciate that. Next question, because there's a lot of them. Next from Kanishi. Hi, Kanishi. She says, is D2D actively looking for a print partner in Canada? Or is it a little more on the back burner while you guys work on getting us other features like large print or hardcover?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and as the Canadian in the group on the team, that's something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I have looked at various platforms that offer the option within Canada, but to be quite honest, there's nobody who's able to do it as efficiently, as timely, and effectively, as even cost effectively as our current partner. So right now we have an amazing global partner available. They don't yet have printers in Canada. But yeah, so my apologies. And I'll be honest with you, we're more interested in rolling out new features of what we can do, what we can control is, okay, and I know large print is next on the list for print. Like, okay, large print is a huge missing opportunity for indie authors. Let's make it easier for them to get large print books out there. Let's use our distribution partner to get large print. Let's make those templates for large print books. Let's help you make a large print cover and all that stuff. And I know the team's already been working on it, but they're going to be focused on it very soon. That'll probably be the next big release that we announce. And then, of course, obviously hardcover as we continue to expand all of the options for print. So that's more of a focus because that's something we can control internally and do all that development rather than say, oh, I wish someone existed who could do this for us.
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Kanishi. And thank you for giving us a little bit of some buffer room there, understanding as we work on other things as well. Appreciate that. Brian has a question. Brian asked, will you by chance raise the royalties for your authors in the future?
If you're talking about ebooks, we're kind of limited based on what we get from the retail partners. You got to remember, we do not charge anything up front. In order for us to be able to pay our utilities and mortgages and rents and stuff like that, as the people who work at Draft2Digital, that 10% margin that we keep on those ebooks is basically what funds our operations. Now, we do give more royalties, higher royalties for the Smashwords store, because again, that's our store, and we have to, we still have to cover operating expenses as well as the credit card surcharges that we get on those. So we do pay higher royalties because we can with Smashwords. And anytime we negotiate with a new partner, we are looking out to see what is the most we can get in order to give that back to you authors. As print books continues to grow and expand, I mean, the higher the volume, the more books that we put through the system, the more that the partner is able to give us, and then we can then relay that back to you. So that could mean, now I know print costs are always going up, and the cost of paper and manufacturing and stuff like that, but it could mean if the volume of D2D print gets even higher, it could mean like every time we get those extra pennies from the partner, we're going to pass that on to the author. Again, we need to take our slice, because boys got to eat, got to be able to pay for our operation so we can be around tomorrow. But yeah, we do our very best to try to be very author centric, and again, the focus of our success is we make money when you make money. That's a main goal of Draft2Digital, and I'm very proud that is our business model, because it means when you're successful, we're successful.
Right. And it's also one of the reasons why we're continuously talking about, how can we help educate the authors by doing things like D2D Print Day and providing free resources out there to help you guys learn about best practices of best-selling indie authors to help everybody sell more books.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring up this question here. I don't know if I could answer it. Maybe you can, Mark. From Matthew Baxter. And thanks, Matthew, for the question. Travel writer. Cool. Matthew says, Amazon has a great look inside feature, but a lot of online stores don't offer this function or show oddly formatted ebook samples. Why is this? And do you think things will improve in the future?
Mm-hmm. That's a great one. Yeah, Amazon does have a really great look inside feature for both print and ebooks. I know, for example, and I worked at Kobo for many years, the previews that Kobo has are just not very nice. They're not very useful. I still love Kobo, and that's where I purchase my ebooks as a consumer. But yeah, and we don't have any control over the preview function that the retailers have. So what I would recommend is if there is a preferred retailer, and I think Apple does a pretty decent job of it too, because Apple's always about the look and feel. They're very, very sharp. But reach out to the retailer and say, hey, as a consumer, I would really, really like this. But yeah, we don't really have much control. We provide the EPUB, either the one that you provided to us, and then we relay that to them, or we make a professional EPUB from your Word file and we send that to the vendor. But we can't really control what they do with it in their catalog.
So, Mark, from the publishing perspective, when someone goes through the publishing process at Draft2Digital, do we give them the option of providing a free sample amount, like 10% to 20%?
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, we control that on our end. You can say how much of a percentage, but we can't control what that looks like on the retailer. So you can control, and I think by default it's like 5 or 10% or something like that, and you can change 10%
that by default.
Yeah, change that as an author in your account. I think you have the ability to change that, but it makes sense. Yeah, 10% is probably reasonable to give people just to show them how amazing and awesome your book is, so they can go, oh, I have to read this now.
If there were, I was going to say, to give them that little teaser, give them that taste of what you have to offer. Okay. And thanks again, Matthew, for the question.
Great question. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
So many great questions. I'm not sure if we're going to get to
absolutely.
them all. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Oh. So this isn't a question, but a comment from Ethan Verse.
Oh. Hey,
Mark, this is Carl. You're such a legend. I'm so happy to see you here.
Hi, Carl. How are you doing? Great to see you.
So I couldn't help myself. Sorry about that. Let's see.
Cool.
Oh, but there is she also has a different question.
Do you think
so? Let's get to this question from Cara, Ethan Verse, who asks, do you think it's better to publish a holiday-themed book in September, or should I start marketing now to build buzz for a later release?
Okay, so thank you. Great question. I'm gonna go back to my book industry experience that goes back to 1992, and I do know that in the book industry itself, in general, and this is for online sales, ebook sales, and print book sales, very very similar models because I've worked in all three. Is the sales really pick up? Back to school, September, end of summer vacation here in the northern part of the hemisphere. The September to December tends to be the biggest. It's the biggest thing. It's why London Book Fair and stuff like that happens this time of year, and even it used to be in the late May for Book Expo America, because that's when all the bookstores were buying, all the buyers were meeting with the publishers, and the publishers' biggest catalogs tended to be September to December. So again, that's because of things like Christmas and the other gift buying that happens in that season. So I think it would make sense. Yeah, I publish it in September, but do take advantage of pre-orders. Why not? I mean, if it's ready to go and edited and stuff like that, take advantage of the pre-orders, and then your marketing buzz can be getting excited in anticipation for this book as well. If that's something you're capable of doing, because again, depending on your schedule and when your editor, when the stuff gets back from your editor and all that stuff.
Okay, good answer. Thanks for that. I'm going to keep cycling through all the questions here. Keep them coming, everybody. This is great.
Yeah.
R. Loomis asks, is there a way to edit the EPUB file for print, or is it finalized for only EPUB?
Yeah, so if you've uploaded your own EPUB into our systems, we do not parse the EPUB to spit it back into a format like Word, because that right now systematically is not reliable. It's going to make a mess, and that's no fun for anyone to deal with, especially you. But if you
mean make a mess in the Word file, Mark? So
to try and back convert it from an EPUB into a Word file is not clean. It's not pretty. It's not something you really want to look at. So instead of putting people into that frustration, we've just said it's not something we can easily do. Therefore, we're going to focus on the things we can do. If you load an EPUB, ideally you got the EPUB from something, therefore you're happy with it, and we'll publish it for you. And now we do check to make sure it's legit, and we can add the automated, I think we can add the automated back matter and stuff like that, like the universal book links into it for you. But if you've provided a Word document, you can use our templates and make that. And the same thing is for print. You can provide a print ready file that you got from a designer or other system, or you can provide a Word document and use our tools to preview it. And now you can't edit it on the fly. You're going back and editing the source document. And again, as somebody who used to manage a database in the book industry, it's like you always want to fix the source. You don't want to fix it on the fly on the way to the source. You really want to fix it at the source as much as possible, so you have a master. And as an author myself, I actually have a Word document print master that I use, and then I have a separate different print EPUB, which is kind of convoluted because every time I make a change to one, I have to make a change to the other. But that's how I manage it myself as an author. But I always have those two master files to play with.
Mark, if somebody uploads a Word doc and they would say, let's say they want to publish an ebook first, but then they want to do a POD, print on demand book right after that.
Same file.
We're taking all that data and moving it over.
You have the choice.
Print on demand file. And that's from the original Word doc, not from an EPUB.
Yeah, you as the author can say, go back and get the original Word doc I used for the EPUB, or you can upload your own Word doc or your own PDF or print ready PDF file.
Okay, just making extra sure. Okay, thanks again for the question.
Yeah.
These are great.
Great questions.
Yeah. Another question from Ron Kays. And welcome, Ron. I'm seeing a lot of new names out there. So to those of you who are new to Self-Publishing Insiders, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate you being here. Ron asks, will D2D partner increase design or layout tools for the direct-to-print aspect?
Actually, Ron, and that will be something we'll be able to do, once the migration finishes, again, focusing on large print first. But Ron, if there are particular design features you want or templates or whatever, please email support@draftdigital.com and request, hey, I would really love to have this trim size, or I'd love to have this whatever. And I'll be honest with you, that's why we created a poetry template. We had authors who emailed us, and after we received several requests from authors who said we really would love a poetry template. So we made it a priority to create a poetry template. So if there's particular tools or features that you're looking for, And we discuss this in a Slack channel all the time. Like, it comes from one of us, we're talking to authors, or it comes from usually from the customer service team that gets a ticket, because it's a trackable ticket, way better that way. And then they put it in feature requests, and then the discussions happen, and then that is a ticket that gets created and prioritized. So please, Ron, thank you for asking that question, but please email the specifics of what you're looking for to support@draft2digital.com, because that's how we build those new things for authors, is based on your requests. So because we want to be able to, remove the barrier for you and say, hey, this is a roadblock. Ron is looking for this, and potentially, Ron, if you're thinking about that, there's probably other people who are thinking about things, and then we use that again for prioritizing.
100%. I just want to underscore what you said there. So if you email customer support with a feature request, that goes into customer support. We create a ticket out of that. It's a trackable ticket, so we can keep track of how many of those requests that we have, and the ones that have the most requests get the highest priority. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, let's see.
Jim is juggling all the questions.
I am. This is great. I'm distracted because I'm looking over here, looking at you, looking over here, looking at you. But I'm back. Nigel, welcome back. Nigel always has good questions. Nigel asks, am I correct in thinking that D2D is a distribution machine to make physical books available, but it is still up to authors to market them?
Yeah, physical books and ebooks, right? Ebooks and print books. So yes, distribution for either or, both if you want. Yeah, well, yeah, technically it is up to you as the publisher, as the author, to market them. But again, that's why on Saturday we had a panel talking about marketing tips. Often SPI, we bring in guests who share marketing tips. We have a full-time person, Megan, who's working on marketing for authors. One of the things Megan and I are working on right now is I'm going to be at the American Library Association conference in June in Pittsburgh. In Philadelphia. Sorry, it starts with a P and it's in Pennsylvania, but it's in Philadelphia, closer to the coast. And we're going to be bringing a catalog, and I thought I had a physical copy of an old one, but a physical catalog of books available in print, as well as ebooks available to libraries through Draft2Digital to market your books for you. And that's based on, Jim, do you have the URL, the drop in for the marketing form?
I do.
And Megan will also invite you to various promos we do. For example, she sent out several from Overdrive, a library distributor, and we work with Apple and Barnes & Noble and Kobo on those things. So there's constantly promotions going on. So yes, it's your responsibility to market. Yes, it's your responsibility to tell us about your books using this form, so Megan has access to them so we can include them in features. But we do what we can to market your books, because again, we only make money when you sell books. So we really do want to try and help you sell more books. And that's one of the reasons we have a full-time person whose sole responsibility is author promotions.
And I love it when people ask, do you guys do anything to help me market books or to promote my books? And yes, Nigel, yes, we do. And about that form, so for those of you who have never used that form, Megan always suggests adding more detail in that form than you might even feel is necessary. So what does that mean? That means that, well, maybe you're working on an anthology with some of your author friends, or a box set with some of your author friends, or maybe you've published books in the past that are award-winning books, or maybe you've hit a bestseller list. The more information that you can give to Megan, the better, because that's going to help her get your book in front of the merchandising managers at the libraries and at some of our retail partners as well. I mean, some of our library partners and retail partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for that question, Nigel. Okay, going back to the comments. Running back over there. Let's see.
You're doing great, Jim.
You're such a nice.
You got this. You got this.
I got this. Linda asks, hi, Linda. Smashwords publishes ebooks that other retailers won't. So would D2D consider selling print books on Smashwords?
In short, yes, we will. And that is one of the things we plan on working with you on, in terms of making print books available on Smashwords. But that probably isn't coming up until after we do things like large print for everyone and other functionality that we want to do to improve both the publishing experience from Draft2Digital as well as the Smashwords store. So the other thing, Linda, I would highly recommend, please email that to support@draftdigital.com and let them know. I can't wait to sell my print books on Smashwords. I would love that too. Again, because I would love that. I mean, let's be honest. Smashwords is the world's largest repository of indie author titles. It's the only all pretty much exclusively indie author titles and small publishers who use Draft2Digital or Smashwords.
Right.
So it's very indie. So you're not competing with some of the major, names from traditional publishing. And so what can we do to make the buyer's experience more exciting? Saying, oh, I'd rather get this one in print. Well, just click here. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. So please email us with that suggestion or request, Linda.
Yeah, thank you for that, Linda. It's on the roadmap, but I don't have a specific timeline for it.
We have lots of big roadmaps. We can barely see off into the horizon.
So many roadmaps. You can see the bags under my eyes.
Years of work.
Yes. Guillaume. Hey, Guillaume.
Guillaume
has a comment. I can see why Smashwords call it the meat grinder. It takes ages to get through like meat does. I call D2D's version the pasta grinder. Much easier to grind pasta than meat.
The pasta grinder. Okay, I like that. See, you can tell Guillaume is a creative spirit because coming up with these ingenious parallels. Great anecdote.
Yes. Regret this already asks, what is the ETA on getting hardcover prints through you guys?
Well, I know large print's coming first because it's an underserved market, but I know hardcover is on that roadmap. I'm not sure how far behind large print it is, to be quite honest. Again, and I sound like a broken record. It's not a scratchy record, but I sounded like a monkey just ran into the room. But no, email support at draft2digital.com and say, I'd love to get hardcovers from you. And again, that's one of the ways we prioritize.
Yeah, and as the PR corporate communications guys, I wish I could give you a timeline. I have somewhat of an idea, but I've learned in my years of experience that never share that, because if a bug will come up or something will come up technically that you weren't expecting, it will. So all I can tell you is that we're working diligently to get you large print and hardcovers as soon as we possibly can. So it's coming.
Yeah, no, of course. And again, like we would have thought the migration would have taken a lot less time, but it took a little bit longer than we initially
migrating.
Well, now I know
50,000 accounts was so difficult.
Yeah, well, Penguin and Random House, they merged 12 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that. They still haven't merged their databases. Now I know why. Now I get it.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, question. ALC Muse asks, do you offer any pre-publication marketing help?
Well, of course, yeah. Yes. So with Smashwords, you have the option to do not pre-orders, but you can do pre-sales, which is cool. And I think there's probably a link on our blog to how that works. But the other thing, and again, I mentioned this earlier, Megan and I are putting together a catalog for the libraries, and one of them is we're running reports on books that are already coming out in the next 6 to 9 months. And we're running reports to add to the catalog to share to libraries saying, hey, I know it's June when we're here, but this book's coming out in August, and this one's coming out in July, and this one's coming out in September, and this one's coming out in October. We want you to be aware of these books. So when you plan ahead and get those pre-orders up, we do that work. Megan also runs reports on pre-orders that are happening on those existing titles and sends that to almost every one of our partners. Now, we don't say, hey, this is hot at Apple, therefore Barnes & Noble, you should pay attention to it. We just say, in general, there's a lot of pre-orders in this title. You should pay attention to this. So again...
Why is that important, Mark, coming from our perspective as a distributor?
Well, it's important because we know, oh, this is popular somewhere. Hey, print or hey, retail partner or library partner, you may want to pay attention to these titles that are selling at another partner. Now, again, we don't provide that proprietary data, but that's also the way the book industry works, is that's an anticipation of, oh, people are already interested in this. And this means you, as an author, are now able to compete effectively with the traditional publishing world, because that's how they operate, is they get those titles 6 to 9 months, if not more, into the database systems and start their buzz a little bit earlier, let people know, go and pre-order. And I know for a fact that pre-orders on Apple and Kobo in particular are very powerful. They get like a 2 times bonus in different ways. With Apple, you get like a bit of a ranking bonus the day that it's ordered. And then you also get on the day of release, it gets shown a little bit higher and a little bit more broadly. So the more pre-orders you can get at places like Apple are good. Kobo, you get a 2 times bang for your buck. So if somebody pre-orders your book now, Kobo's big data team will say, oh, that must be so important. So instead of giving it a regular ranking boost, we'll take whatever that boost was going to be. And it's like Dungeons and Dragons. You get a 2 times bonus when you roll. Whatever the number is, it'll be 2 times that number. And so again, at both Kobo and Apple, that helps them populate those titles to their customers and say, hey, this is coming out. You probably might want to pay attention to it. So we spend a lot of time working with our retail and library partners to spotlight those pre-order titles. But again, we can only spotlight the pre-order titles. And again, fill out that marketing form we showed earlier and say, hey, I've got this book. It's the next one in the series. Here's how this other one did. And Megan also does send that to our partners and says, hey, haven't seen any sales on this yet, but you know that this author has this other book that did this, and you should pay attention to it. So again, she spends a lot of time, again, trying to help authors and spotlight them. Yep. But only with your help.
If you're watching this and you're currently a Draft2Digital author, make sure that you're signed up for our Indie Advantage newsletter, because in the next issue that'll come out in early May, there's going to be an article in there all about pre-orders and how to use them and why they're so important. And I can tell you that, especially in terms of ebook pre-orders, they're one of the most effective book launch marketing tools that I've seen since I started at Smashwords back in 2011. They're one of the most effective tools out there, but they're also one of the most underutilized, like highly underutilized tools out there. Only about 16% of our authors are using pre-orders, but they work. And the reason they work so well is you can have a pre-order at Kobo, Apple, Amazon, and is it Barnes & Noble for up to 12 months.
12 months.
So you can have a book where you don't even have the finished manuscript yet, and you don't have your finished cover art yet. That's called an assetless pre-order. So you can have this shelf space at a retail store months and months before your book is ever released to the public. Now the magic fairy dust comes in, because as your book is accumulating these pre-orders, at Apple Books in particular, those pre-orders count as full sales. So on the day of your release, it's like you could have this concentration of months worth of sales all hitting on day one, because that's when the credit cards are charged, not when the person reserves a pre-order, but when your book is released. And that is what can cause a spike in your sales rankings on day one of your books being released. So sign up for Draft2Digital's newsletter, and I'll try to give you all of those details and more in that next issue of the Indie Advantage newsletter.
Jim, question from Bev is, where do you sign up for the newsletter? Because or are people getting it, and is it going into their spam folders maybe?
Possibly. I believe Alyssa, if you're listening.
Alyssa, help us.
Help us. I've seen it somewhere on the site. Thanks for that question, Bev.
No, I think it's in accounting. In account, under account,
right.
You can go in and say, give me just information about my publishing, give me marketing information. I think, and if you've selected marketing information, it should be available to you there. But again, double check your spam folder, because chances are maybe you already received. And again, that would be emails potentially from Megan saying, hey, I'm inviting you to this thing. Maybe you're not seeing those either.
Yes. Right. Okay. I'm going to bring up this question from Francis. I'm sure this is a question that a lot of people may be thinking about, because we get this question fairly often. Thanks for the question, Francis. Francis asks, once the book is published on D2D in paperback, will it be distributed to Amazon as well as other retailers, or do I have to upload the PDF to Amazon myself?
Yes. When you publish your print book through Draft2Digital, it will end up going through Ingram's ecosystem, which goes to pretty much every retailer in the English-speaking world. But you can still go direct to Amazon and upload it through Kindle Direct Publishing as well. So you can do that, Francis. So it goes to Amazon. So if you want to leave it like that, cool. And but you can also override, at least from Amazon's perspective, override that and go directly into Amazon. It just goes everywhere. There's unlike ebooks where you can choose and pick and choose. With print, our partner just sends it everywhere automatically. So yes, it does go everywhere, almost everywhere.
Clarification here from Beth. She's asked, so to upload an edited EPUB, you really need to edit in Word and make a new EPUB, correct? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I mean, unless you have a designer or a tool like Atticus or Vellum that you're using, you're still gonna do the edits there somewhere or in Reedsy or whatever tool you're using. Yeah. But if you're using our tools, yeah, go back to Word, edit, and then re-upload.
Thanks, Mark.
Great question,
Okay.
Beth.
About a minute left. Gosh, this goes by so
no,
fast.
wow, this went fast.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, get rid of that. Okay, we kind of already covered that one. I'm going to skip that one. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Oh, how about this one from Nigel again? Nigel's looking at the comments here too. And Nigel says, large print is featuring a lot in the questions. Is it really so significant? Is it really so significant a part of the market?
Yeah. You know what? Print is still billions of dollars industry. Print is still the majority of our book industry. And people who don't read ebooks are automatically large print, but print books are not automatically large print. And it's an underserved part of the population. So yes, I think it could really help indie authors get their books into a space. And not every big publisher is doing large print. So think about that. They're only doing large print for the James Pattersons of the world. They're not doing large print for every book they produce. Therefore, you as an indie author have a chance to get into a space that the big publishers are not in. And we're pretty excited about doing that. Not just removing barriers, but allowing you to be ahead of traditional publishing.
Thanks, Mark. Quick comment from Russell. Russell says, I just wanted you guys to know how much I appreciate all your hard work for the indie author community. Thank you so much. I love being a D2D and Smashwords author. Russell, we love you more.
Yes, we do. We do. Thank you, Russell. We couldn't do this without authors.
Without
so thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for trusting us with your work.
Yes.
Okay, Mark, can you hang out for a couple more minutes? Because there's a few more questions.
Okay.
I want to get to this question from ALC Muse again, because I want to make sure we're not confusing anybody out there. They ask, can you explain publishing with D2D and Ingram Spark? Are we supposed to do first?
No.
I think some people are hearing Ingram and they're thinking Ingram Spark. So maybe we
so Ingram Spark is a front end for Ingram Lightning Source, which is a print-on-demand function of Ingram, the world's largest English language book wholesaler. D2D Print is a different front end for Lightning Source to distribute that. If you're doing print books, do one or the other. You can do one book through Ingram Spark and a different book through D2D Print if you want to experiment with it, but do not duplicate it. There's no point. It is just going to cause what's known as vendor. I can't remember the term, but it's an issue where Ingram can only identify one vendor at a time, and so there'll be a conflict between is Ingram Spark the vendor or is
the vendor of record?
Vendor of record, thank you. So that causes an issue. So don't. The other thing I will tell you is I think Ingram Spark is a phenomenal tool, and I think Ingram Spark is great for print. I will tell you without a doubt, and I stand by this 100%, Ingram Spark is horrible for ebook distribution. When I worked at Kobo, one of the biggest problems we had, because again, like print, they don't let you pick and choose. So you can go direct. Like with us, I go direct, for example, to Amazon and Kobo with my ebook, and then I use Draft2Digital to go to all the other places, but I don't select Amazon But with Ingram Spark, they don't give you the choice of how to distribute your ebook. So I think going with Draft2Digital or PublishDrive or StreetLib or any other distributor for ebooks is great. Ingram Spark, great for print, not good at all for ebooks. So I hope that helps, Alchemuse.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty clear.
Without being negative. I'm trying not to be negative. I'm trying to be honest.
Well, you're talking from your experience too,
Yeah.
which we appreciate. Another quick question here from Matthew, who asks, what ebook devices do you think we should recommend to our readers?
Kobo, of course. And I saw Alyssa left a message in the comment that she prefers Kobo. I mean, again, okay, I worked for Kobo for 6 years. I'm Canadian. I own about 6 different Kobo devices. They're absolutely amazing. They're just beautiful devices. I love them to death. The Nook devices are really good too. They're really top of the line. And Kindle's really good too. Heck, if you're an Apple person, fantastic. You've got like the different size iPads and the phones and stuff. So really, Matthew, it's whatever the reader prefers.
I would say, Matthew, like if your readers don't want to purchase a new device, phones are great e-reading devices. I read probably most of the books that I read are read on my phone. And
The
I
one thing
probably
I
have
don't like
about,
about what I don't like about the phone though, Jim, is it's a lit up device and it triggers a part of your brain. So if you want to read in bed at night, it actually stimulates part of the brain. It's hard to go to sleep. And I know that a lot of the e-reading does not do that. And there's a special a filter that allows it to relax your brain, so you can actually read and drift off into peaceful bliss. Thanks to the authors who've written amazing stories.
I'm just thinking about a device that people are going to have with them all the time. It's like having
Potentially, that's true. The life support system I always carry with me. That's right.
There's so many fantastic reading apps out there these days. I think I've got like 5 or 6 different reading apps on my phone, including all the different library apps as well.
And the great thing about your phone is I saw a question about color and stuff like that. Phone's always color. Now, when it goes to an e-reader, it's going to go black and white. But if there's color images embedded, if you're reading it on your phone, if they're color in the source material, they will be color as well.
I am going through the comments and
look at us. We're into 51 minutes. We're going over time, baby.
We are. Look at this. A lot of them are just comments here. Okay. One last question from Ronnie, and then I think we're over time. And we're going to have to call it. Ronnie asks, when will we have photo illustrations? Because I also write craft books, and I don't want to go outside D2D.
So photo illustrations, I guess, if you're talking ebooks or print books, I mean, it's whatever you embed in the file. Let's be honest with you, photo illustrations work best on fixed layout, and fixed layout is not really an ebook friendly format. It just works unless you got a big iPad or some giant screen where you can see it. And fixed layout is the layout you get in a print book. It's like a PDF file. It never changes. And ebooks, EPUBs are reflowable. And reflowable means, so if I'm reading a book on a big tablet, I can, it's let's say a 300-page book, and then I read it on my phone and it's an 800-page book because whatever. And I can also change the font size. A fixed layout means it's fixed. It does not change. Whatever the publisher specified is going to be that. And so with ebooks, it's really difficult. You can still insert them, but it's not going to be as good of an experience. Those are probably going to be for print books. And yes, as we continue to expand and allow larger trim sizes and hardcover and stuff like that, that will be available. And again, one of the functionalities we'll probably introduce for print books is the ability to do color interiors for print books. But I'll be honest with you, that's very, very expensive. I've done it in the past. It is not cheap. It cost me an arm and a leg to make some color versions of one of my most recent books, which I used Ingram. I used Ingram Spark to get that out into the market, and I've also used a local printer for it, but it is not cheap. So that's something to be very, very mindful of.
Thanks for that, Mark. Well, we're over time now, so I just want to again just very sincerely thank all of you for joining us here again today. And a special shout out, special word of gratitude for all of you who may be joining us for the very first time. Thank you for spending a part of your day with us. It means the world.
Great questions. Yeah, and you guys are amazing. Thank you.
Questions.
Yeah, fantastic questions.
And if you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor and share it with some of your author friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. Also, if you can bookmark d2dlive.com, when you bookmark d2dlive.com, that will show you what our subsequent issues or topics will be and who our guests are going to be, which reminds me, I need to get on the ball for our future episodes. I'm falling a little bit behind with that. So that page may not be populated today or tomorrow, but it will be populated very soon. If you're brand new to us and maybe you haven't yet published a book for the very first time, or maybe you've been traditionally published and you're just dipping your toe into the self-publishing waters for the very first time in your career, you can sign up for a free Draft2Digital account simply by going to draft2digital.com. As we come to the close, one final thank you to my esteemed colleague here, Mark Leslie Lefebvre. Thanks, buddy, for taking some time out of your day to join us. And again, for everybody else, thank you so much for spending a part of your day with us. I hope to see you here again next week. We're going to leave you with a quick 30-second commercial spot to talk about D2D Print, which is Draft2Digital's print-on-demand service. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at Draft2Digital.com.